Be lots of speakers today. I'll ask you to limit your remarks to 7 to 8 minutes, and I will name a speaker and then also name the one who would follow so that you would be able to prepare. But I think it would be a fitting tribute to Israel Gelfand if the chairman of this session would take about half an hour before the first speaker has a chance to say a word, to say, what he thinks about the topic. I would like just to give you a little overview of Israel Gelfand's life and some of the interesting aspects of it, particular of interest to us historians. He was born in 1913 into a Jewish family in the Pale of Settlement, which means that Jewish populations that lived in that area near Odessa actually couldn't settle in major metropolitan areas like Moscow, St. Petersburg. In 1928, he was expelled from trade school, became an autodidact. He was expelled because after the revolution, his family was considered a bourgeois family, and children of such families were not allowed to get education in trade schools. So he had to educate himself, and apparently did it very well, because in 1932 he became a graduate student of Andrei Kolmogorov, a leading mathematician of the time, in Moscow University, and in 1935 he already started teaching as a docent or associate professor at Moscow University. In 1943, he started his famous seminar on functional analysis. First, it was indeed a seminar on functional analysis, and then gradually it expanded to include reputedly all of mathematics. In 1953, he became head of the heat transfer department at the Institute of Applied Mathematics. Heat transfer is a euphemism for the mathematical modeling of the hydrogen bomb, and Israel Moisevich was involved in this type of defense research. He soon left that field, but that early work for the defense secured him a place in the Soviet academia and sort of shielded him from attacks. In 1967, he became editor of Functional Analysis and Its Application, a famous journal which is translated into English, and which sort of set the famous Russian style of publications, trying to fit so many publications into the journal of particularly mathematicians who couldn't publish elsewhere because of various restrictions. He had to limit the size of publication to 2 or 3 pages, so many publications came out just with statements of theorems without proofs, so that it became known as the Russian style. In 1968, he signed letters of protest to Soviet authorities and, of course, suffered consequences for that. He couldn't travel abroad. But finally, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, or actually shortly before that, he was able to travel and eventually became professor at Rutgers University, where he tried to continue his seminar and sort of ran it as well. Overall, he has authored and co-authored more than 560 research papers and monographs. And in 1978-79, he was the most cited mathematician in the world. Actually, he was probably the most cited even before and after that. 78-79 is simply the years for which a particular study, quantitative study of citations was done for the mathematics community. So that's why we have specific figures for these years. But he was leading with a huge gap, so I presume some years before and some years after he also occupied this leading position. But Israel Moisevich was also famous not only in the world of mathematicians, but beyond this world. In 1957, he started an interdisciplinary seminar on mathematical methods in biology, neurophysiology, and medicine, which then expanded into a regular seminar in collaboration with biologists. Then in 1964, Gelfand set up an interdisciplinary laboratory at Moscow University, where he employed both biologists and mathematicians who couldn't, because of various restrictions of the Soviet regime, couldn't find employment elsewhere, and some outstanding mathematicians came out of that biological laboratory. So the collaboration between mathematics and biology under Gelfand's patronage was beneficial not only for biology but also for mathematics. In 1963, when his son Vladimir went to school, he decided to make a special arrangement with a school number 2 in Moscow to add advanced specialized courses in math and physics to the curriculum. And he himself lectured at school, introduced a system of lectures and seminars, sort of college-type instruction in high school. And this essentially became a foundation for a whole movement of specialized physics and math schools in the Soviet Union. This pattern was imitated in other schools in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, and elsewhere. In these schools, several generations of students interested in mathematics received broad education, not limited specifically to mathematics. But for Israel Moisevich, mathematics was a specific subject in which he thought that anyone should be trained to broaden one's intellectual horizons. He said, for human intellect, the right attitude toward mathematics plays the same role as understanding music, poetry, and other non-profitable fields of human endeavor. This is why I have always tried to convey the beauty of mathematics to those who would never work in math later in life. And indeed, in those math schools, not everybody became a professional mathematician. Actually, his son Vladimir did not. But besides mathematicians, many scientists, writers, poets, politicians came out of these schools. It became a hothouse for intellectual ferment in the Soviet Union. Another famous initiative in 1964, he set up a nationwide correspondence school of mathematics, which posted problem sets and then collected solutions and get feedback to students all over the Soviet Union. Over the years, it's still functioning in Russia now. Over the years, over 70,000 high school students participated in this correspondence school of mathematics. And at the time, in the late 60s, early 70s, a calculation was made that more than a quarter of all math students at Moscow University, at the famous MECMAT, had gone through that correspondence school of mathematics. That was a way to draw them into math. And finally, I'd like to say a few words about the famous seminar of Israel Moisevich at Moscow University, here in this building on the 14th floor in room 1408. The seminar ran continuously for 7 years, from 1943 to 1989. Every Monday, Israel Moisevich ran the seminar, which gradually became the hub of mathematical activity in Moscow and essentially in the Soviet Union. This is the famous room, 1409, where the seminar was held. Many people here would, I'm sure, recognize it. Just a few comments on the seminar made by its participants. Maybe the greatest seminar in the history of the Mechanical and Mathematical Faculty of Moscow University, one of the most productive seminars in the history of science, made a decisive impact on mathematical life in Moscow, ardently followed all that was new in mathematics anywhere in the world. So no wonder people try to come to this seminar, and even though the territory of Moscow University was actually fenced, and there were bureaucratic rules that didn't allow anyone who was not affiliated with Moscow University to attend, to enter the territory and attend the seminar. Many people found ways to overcome these restrictions by essentially climbing the wall and reaching this source of mathematical knowledge. Very fortunately, thanks to Mikhail Shubin, a long-term participant in the seminar for 25 years, who kept notes, handwritten notes of the seminar proceedings, we now have this wonderful historical record of this seminar, thanks to the support of the Clay Institute of Mathematics and under the supervision of Sergei Gelfand, these handwritten notes have been scanned and are now posted online at the website of the Moscow Center for Continuous Mathematical Education. If you just Google Gelfand seminar notes, you will come to that website with all the notes indexed for names, so you would see all the, you could easily locate those sessions that were devoted to discussion of the work of this or that mathematician. The Gelfand seminar was famous not only for its mathematical content, but also for its wonderful idiosyncratic style, on which we also have some interesting comments. Exciting but frightening. Unfolded more like math improv. A kind of theater. A one-man show. I mean, it's good you can draw people to mathematics even with this, theatrics. And Gelfand ignored niceties. Speakers and participants were subjected to ruthless ridicule. I think it's a wonderful historical question how this idiosyncratic style gave rise to such wonderful spirit of mathematical adventure, and I hope that speakers at this session would be able to comment on that. And finally, I'd like to show this chart of connection. It's actually harvested from the Mathematical Genealogy website, which shows essentially links between advisor and doctoral students. So these are just formal links, but informal, Gelfand had much more informal links with all the people around them, and there are many people here who are mentioned on this graph, and Kirillov, Bernstein, Kazhdan, Frankel, and I would so we'll try to fill this sort of dry picture with real faces, names, and live memories. But before ceding the podium to the first speaker, I just want to give you a little taste of Gelfand seminar. We have a unique video footage of Israel Moisevich talking at his own seminar, and let's see if we could if we could run it now. I have to apologize. The quality of the audio is very poor, and I don't know if the technician would be able to help us to crank up the volume so that we could all hear it. But in any case, I would run just for a minute, and that will explain what Moisevich was saying there. And the quality of the video is also, the picture is not very good, because the person who shot the video probably wasn't sure how Israel Moisevich would treat that effort. So the picture was shot from behind, someone's back. So, so let's see.
Я старался из художественного общества, я вспомнил, я сразу задумался, что вот есть такой совершенно замечательный режиссер Вахтанг ставил принцессу Туманку. Значит, это, я не знаю, знаете, современный перевозбуждение. Это был такой кадровый голос, который написал сказать. Сказал, что ее надо ставить так. Но, к сожалению, это математики трудно получается. Что приходят, я только читал, потому что я принцессу, которую он был уже знала, переодеваться, так сказать, приспособить эту сказку. Значит, принц, значит, первый визит надевает, значит, какой он молодец, и делает себе шалмун, тут же и так далее. Значит, после этого, как я опознал, я этого даже не знал раньше. Просто нормальные артисты, так сказать, играют себе легкую сказку. А на самом деле, вот этот дух того, что делается, что они начали оттенок, так сказать, современность, был именно в этом. Они в том, что они играют пьесу на события, происходящие год тому назад. На это, к сожалению, у нас не всегда получается, потому что у нас много других задач. Например, действительно понять, что
So let me translate what Israel Moisevich was saying in this little clip. He was telling a story of him going to a famous theater in Moscow, Vakhtangov Theater, and watching a play called Princess Turandot by Carlo Gozzi. Yes, and watching the play called Princess Turandot by Carlo Gozzi. The play is set in a medieval setting, but the start of the play, as it was staged at Vakhtangov Theater, was as follows. Actors dressed in modern costumes enter the stage, and then on stage they start changing into medieval protagonists. So, and then he said the spirit of sort of modern interpretation of that play is conveyed not through placing it into the modern context, but through this explicit entering of a modern person into the skin of a medieval person. And he said, his parables always have this kind of mathematical meaning to them. And he said, we mathematicians should also do like that. I mean, we cannot always manage to do it, but we should learn from actors how to do it.